Show people the perfectly rolled Shaco they are required to have for it to function at all.
You caught me.
This guy really called me out, man, and I respect that. Yeah, I'm gonna just... That's not fair. We shouldn't use this perfectly rolled Shaco. That's bullshit. Not everybody can have a mythic unique. And not everybody's gonna have these perfect Yen's blessings either. So let's get rid of those two. Let's just set these here. Can I keep my Fist of Fate? 1 GA. Not even rolled properly. It's pretty, can I keep it? All right. So pit tier 80 with no boots and no helmet. The only unique that I have on right now is a Fist of Fate. Build won't work.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
It's such a shitty build. Like, it genuinely sucks. It's so nerfed. It's dead. Yeah. I'm gonna take a break at 14 seconds. Just to... Hold on. Let me kill these things real quick. So... We lost all of this movement speed and all of my resistances. So... My resistances are pretty bad for Torment 4. And my movement speed is pretty bad. So, we're really slow. All right, let's get back into it. Can I put my boots and my perfectly rolled Shaco back on? Alright, all pettiness aside, the guy is fucking right, okay? I should have shown the build off, and clearly there's some confusion here. So, the build is actually pretty good. I mean, I don't know what your concept of good would be. If your concept of good is a 3-ish minute, 2.5 minutes, because we fucked off for 30 seconds to troll, tier 80 speedrun with no helmet and no boots on, then yeah, this build's pretty good. So let's actually talk about it. Okay, so why does my build feel good and maybe yours is kind of struggling a bit? It's not because I'm better than you. It's probably because you're using the max roll version. Now, I love Rax to death. He's my boy. I'm even subbed to him on Twitch. We love you, buddy. Shout out to Rax. But he was using the max roll version where you have a bunch of cooldown and the Shaco and all that stuff. And I haven't personally played that build, so I can't speak too much about it. But it seems like the people who are having trouble, they're the ones who are using that version of the build. So maybe that's the problem. This does not rely on cooldown, and we get to scale a lot more damage because of it. And we get infinite evade charges and all that, even without using Sepizontic. And if that all sounds interesting to you, then stick around because, yeah, we're going to go over the 3 major differences and the 3 ways that we're really scaling our damage through the absolute roof. First, let's look at my perfect gear. And, yeah, yeah, we'll just go through it real quick. You can pause if you want to look at it for a little bit longer. But Air of Perdition, basically it's just critical strike chance. We want as much of this as possible. That's the wrong button. Okay, 100% critical strike chance. We take this off, and now we suck, and we're only at 54%. So that's pretty much why I have Air of Perdition. Critical strike chance, and then just a lot of damage, and lucky hit chance and movement speed. It's a pretty awesome item. We get pretty much maximum like effect out of every single stat, except for the core skills. That doesn't really matter to us at all. Okay, so the armor. Here's where all of our damage is. Not ironically. Barrier generation, maximum resolve stacks, and life. That's all of our damage. None of that sounds like damage, right? That all sounds like defensive and survivability and life and barrier and all that. Well, that's what's awesome about this build. That's why it's so incredibly tanky, and because it double dips in that aspect. It doesn't double dip, but you know what I mean. Like, you're getting double effectiveness by both scaling defensive capability and offensive at the same time. It's like an armor stacking juggernaut in Path of Exile. You get to be incredibly tanky while simultaneously building towards damage as well. So kind of keep that in mind. Maximum life, barrier generation, maximum resolve stacks. If you don't have these three things, or you have two and not the third, that might be a huge part of your problem. So stay with me here. Fist of Fate, we want lucky hit chance. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I swear we'll get to that very soon as well. But then other than the lucky hit chance, we want a little bit of critical strike chance to get to 100%, because that feels really nice. And whenever I show you this first part of how we scale our damage so significantly, you're going to understand why we really want to have 100% critical strike chance to really gain maximum efficiency. 1 GA again, greater affix dexterity. This would actually be more damage if it was maximum life GA. But you know, it is what it is. This is the roll that I got, and it's good enough. So I didn't really replace it or feel the need to upgrade it. The build does exactly what I needed to do already. So barrier generation and maximum resolve stacks. Again, we'll skip to the amulet just because I get to say the word again. Maximum resolve stacks. Okay, yens, we talked about this. You don't need this. Now I will say all stats is really value here, and resistance to all elements is a lot of value here. These do help the build significantly. And just to take a little detour, what I mean by all stats helping is look at the level of min-max here. 524 strength, but 510 required. You get that secondary 3% all res. Then 510 strength intelligence. I don't have a potion or an incense, so I got this like legit right on the button. You know, extra 20% damage if requirements are met. And then boom, we got another thing. So this is why we want all stats on yens. It's pretty helpful. You know, I get 3% all res here, another 3% all res here, just by having this. So that's 6% plus the 77%. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty good. This pair of boots here single-handedly pretty much fix all of our resistances. And they give us some movement speed, which, you know, pack to pack, it's pretty nice. Whatever. But again, I showed you, you do not need these. These are just flavor, they're extra, they're nice to have. We're gonna skip the weapon. You can pause and look at it if you'd like, but we're gonna skip it for now, because this is the first damage scaling multiplier that we're gonna talk about here in a second. Let's just get through the gear first. And then, yeah, just the amulets, just generic, you know, maximum resolve stacks again, and GA maximum life. Those are the two big deals there. And yeah, moving to the ring. I guess we'll talk about this interaction. How are we able to do constant evades without Sepizontic? Well, we're using this staff, but yet I'm spamming my evades like, you know, crazy. This aspect right here. Long story short, boom. Slap Exhilaration on, have a little bit of lucky hit chance, you're good to go. Hitting a vulnerable enemy has up to a 35% chance to reduce your evade cooldown by 5 seconds. So if you didn't know and you've never really taken the time to look, whenever we evade, we shoot out 8 projectiles, which independently have a chance to proc vulnerability on an enemy, and each independently strike the enemy. So that's 8 chances each time we evade to proc this effect of decreasing our cooldowns by 5 seconds. So if we have some decent lucky hit chance, Air of Perdition, Fist of Fate, you know, it's pretty reasonable that we're going to proc that quite often. And as a secondary layer of applying vulnerable to, you know, more enemies and like a little bit of a splash effect and get some better coverage, we have the aspect of Accursed Touch. And this basically just shoots out some little ghosty boys. They blow up, they splash, and they inflict vampiric curse. And then enemies who are inflicted with a vampiric curse are also vulnerable. So it's just a nice supplemental form of vulnerable spread. So that's how we're evading like little crackheads. All right. So the first way that we're scaling crazy damage is, let's just show you and then we'll talk about it. 1,281. Let's just call that 1,300 because that's a cleaner number. So 1,300 critical strike damage. That's respectable. It's okay. For this level of investment, that's fine. But let me show you something. If we go into this conveniently placed portal, there's something interesting. Now all of a sudden, our critical strike, oh, it just went up again. Did you see that? It's gonna do it again. It's gonna do it again. Okay. As our barrier goes up, boom, our critical strike damage goes up. So let's speed that up. Let's pop that. Now all of a sudden we have almost 10,000 critical strike damage. We've got a barrier and it's still kind of going up. We have 37 resolve stacks. Okay. What's that have to do with critical strike damage? Well, let's go get hit real quick. Let's go have a little bit of fun with this. Let's stand right here. Oh, we got hit, and now it's up to 18,000. How much higher can we make this go? Wait for it. I'm about to die. And boom. Oh, it went up to 23,000. Okay. It goes all the way up to 26,000, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. We got a build guide to do here. We don't have time to be messing around with these skeletons. So let's go back to town. We'll talk about why that just happened. All right, so there are two important parts of this build and why that just took place. One being interdiction aspect. So what this says is gain up to 15% block chance per resolved stack. Now what I just showed you could have been 50% even more because I've only got a 10% roll. If I had a 15% roll, that's 50% better. So I could have 50% more block chance for my resolve stacks. So I had 37 resolve stacks. So 10%, that's 370%. Just from this one aspect, I get 370%. So what this does, the TLDR is block chance equals crit damage. But we'll read it out. Gain increased critical strike damage equal to 140% of your block chance. Blocking doubles this bonus for 10 seconds. So we have 100% block chance because we have 37 resolve stacks and we get 10% per. So we're way over cap on block. So every time we get hit, we block, which block mitigates 27% of the damage. So even more survivability and tankiness. Why is this important though? Well, we have 100% block, so we're always blocking, so this is always doubled. So this is up to 280%. This gives 45%. This gives 100%. And this gives 370%, up to like 500% or something like that. So that's a lot of percent. And then we gotta do 280% of that, and it turns it all into critical strike damage. You saw it. I got it up to like 26,000% before, and that's with a relatively low redirected force roll and a relatively low interdiction roll. If I got better aspects on these, I could probably easily get up to 30,000, 33,000, which is pretty insane. But what if I told you that's not even the biggest multiplier in this build? Okay, got your attention. Paragon. In Paragon, there is one glyph, and you're probably familiar with this if you've been keeping up with the Spiritborn. This node is ridiculous. Now, rather than just simply saying, this node's ridiculous, pick it up, and you're going to do damage, I'm going to actually explain why. You do 1% increased damage for each 3% of your maximum life that you have as a barrier. specifically as a barrier, which is why we have these shiny little purple rocks in our helmet rather than little green rocks, because we want barrier generation. And then, you know, barrier generation temper and more barrier generation temper. So yeah, we want as much barrier as possible. Now, what do I mean by this is bugged? All right. It's 3% of your life. Well, if I have 100% barrier, then that means that I have 100% of my life reserved, and that's only 33%. No, it's 33% of your, or 3% of your base life. Now, what the hell is base life? Well, you can see my life here is 11,582. But if I unequip all of my gear, now it's all the way down to 804. And if I were to take off all my Paragon nodes, it would go all the way down to 400. So the reason that this scales so ridiculously high is because it's scaling off of the base life, not your actual total life. So now we got to do a little bit of math. By the way, I'll have more life usually. I use like incense and stuff, but this is good. This is fine. We're going to do a little bit of math here. What is 3% of 400? It's 12. It's 12. So that means this line of text turns into, for each 12 life, you get 1% damage. Multiplicative damage, which is big boy damage, not additive bullshit. Multiplicative. Overall. So, huge. And we have 12,000 life. Let's just say we have 12,000 life. So we have 12,000 barrier, or I think we have 15,000 barrier, but let's just say 12,000 barrier, because that's more realistic for more people. That means 1,000%. I'm taking too long. 1,000% more damage, or 10 times damage. So, vicious node, or the vicious shield node with 12,000 barrier equals 10 times damage. So if you were hitting for 1 million, now you're hitting for 10 million just by clicking this one button and getting this one node on your glyph board. It's stupid. It's a bug. It shouldn't interact that way, but enjoy it for season 6 while you can. And yeah, every build who's doing pit tier 100 plus that's a Spiritborn is using that bug and that node there. The more you know. All right. So we've talked about critical damage scaling based off of block. We've talked about how we're infinitely generating evade charges and spamming around without Sepizontic. And we've talked about the big buggy bug glyph node on the Paragon board. And I think that about sums it up. That really, to me, one of those three things is going to be the aha moment for you. You're not doing one of those. And if you are doing them, then I really have no idea why your build is struggling. And in fact, I'm going to put a clip of me doing a pit tier 108 clear with this exact build. Same gear, same everything. You know, I only had like a minute and a half to spare, and it wasn't quick and it wasn't fun. But this is a speed farming build. This is not a push pit tier crazy levels build. The fact that a speed farming build is capable of doing pit tier 108 is kind of insane in my opinion. And considering everybody thinks that this build is absolutely dead and you need crazy gear investment in order to do it, it's just not true. So hopefully this video helps you and you have a better understanding and you can continue to play the build that you love and enjoy. I, however, have been playing it for 88 hours at this point, and I'm a little burnt out. So, you might have noticed, if you've been watching my videos lately, I've spent a little bit of gold. And at the end of this video, the very, very end, I'm going to show you my new toy. So, stick around for that if you'd like. Other than that, the rest of this stuff is just me showing a couple of things off and like some, you know, pit gameplay and stuff like that. But this is pretty much the end of the video. So, I'll see you later. Hope you enjoyed. If you learned something or you want to see more content like this in the future, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. It helps me out a ton. We are so close to 300 subscribers. I know that sounds like not that much to some of you, but to me it is ridiculous. So thank you all so much for sticking around, and I'm really happy, and yeah, This has gone on for, this is getting weird. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. All right, so I took 7 hours or so to make this character after farming on my Evade character for 80 something hours, and I decided to spend like half my gold that I had accumulated and bought a couple of shiny new toys. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys the build so far in 7 hours. I still have a lot of work to do on it. Not all the gear is master worked up, and the glyphs are only like 46 at the moment. There's a lot of room for improvement, but considering the character is only 7 hours old and I'm still kind of learning the build and getting all that stuff put together, I think the fact that this is also not a, you know, a hand-picked, oh, I attempted this 30 times and picked the best one. This is pretty consistent and average gameplay. I think I did a minute and 12 second tier 80 speed run. This isn't that, I wasn't recording, but I think this is like a minute and 30 seconds, a minute and 40 seconds, something like that, tier 80 speed run. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys where I'm at. I am mostly pretty much just done with the Evade build at this point. After 88 hours of playing, I wanna mess around with other stuff, and I've been enjoying this build quite a bit. So there's gonna be a build guide coming up for this one, but if this gameplay looks really cool to you and you want to give this a shot as well, and you're still not satisfied with your Evade build, or it's just time to move on, look in the description below. I will link this build guide that I followed in the description. So yeah, just kind of wanted to share this with you and what I've been doing for the past day or two, and I would highly recommend this. If you like the Evade build, then you will also very much enjoy this playstyle as well.